Hey guys, welcome to my garden. Now, most of you will know I work full-time, I'm in school full-time. Recently, the workload at school has more than doubled, so I have to reassess how much time I'm spending everywhere in my life. And school has really shot up, so I'm gonna be doing more shots like this and less detailed up-close shots and just telling you what to do as quick as I can so that I can actually get them out in a timely manner. All right, let's get through here. So we have got a lot going on. My sweet potatoes have started flowering. You can see this one has a caterpillar inside. Not ideal, but I just don't care. Flowering typically means that the tubers are ready. So this is probably a good time. I'm gonna try to this week get to harvest all my warm season crops. So things like I've still got some tomatoes going. I've got peanuts in this bed right here. I've got sweet potatoes in this bed. And I think I even have some okra. I do that I needed to pick 2-3 days ago. I've got okra right there. So I'm gonna try to harvest all the warm weather and warm season plants. Now, my biggest goals over the winter, so over the next 2 months, is to just get everything prepped. So right now, I've worked hard to prep this bed mostly, and I need to get it finished cleaning up. Just come in and get any of the weeds that keep popping up. This is a nightmare, but I'm feeling much more brave about it because I've had numerous stray and neighborhood cats come over and go hunting through here. So I'm feeling less nervous that there's going to be snake and other critters in there. The cats have been coming through here pretty regularly, which makes me feel a lot more comfortable. So I'm hoping that I can get this cleaned up by the end of December. Really, that's what winter is for. My biggest things, let me get you in the shade. There we go. My biggest goals in the winter is infrastructure, prep, and plan. So I'm going to reflect on my garden. I'm going to go back through some of my own footage and my own videos and see what did I do wrong. Like, did I need to plant it earlier? Did I need to give it more space, structure, support, all of that? I'll be putting together my plan. I'll share that plan with you when I have it ready so that you guys can copy or follow along. I'm also going to be planning this garden to be more hands-off. I'm transitioning into the time with, I'm studying computer programming, and really I'm going on to data analysis. And I'm transitioning into that area where it's less independent study and more group work, where it's projects. So my schedule has to be very flexible, and I have to have large chunks of time that I can spend coding or working in a group, which means very little time in the garden. So I'm going to be trying to plan this as efficiently as possible for minimal time in the garden for work and maximum enjoyment. Right now, if you want to plant some stuff, so if you're just feeling that itch and you've got to get something in the ground, here are your best choices. Root crops like carrots, radishes, turnips. You can still start some herbs, although I would do this inside where you can grow them up and have them be a little bigger. It is the right time to do a lot of bulbs, things like daffodils. Daffodils do really well here. I'm gonna do some alliums this year, which is just like a green stick with a purple ball on the top, but the bees love them. They're beautiful, they're structural, they're sculptural, and I think they dry well. I'm also gonna try to get some fruit trees in the ground. So I have some pomegranates that my friend Debbie gave me. Thank you, Debbie. And I'm gonna be planting those actually right at the end of this big archway. So I need to get where that I made a little structure right here. That's where I want the pomegranate kind of centered in the archway. I think it's going to be beautiful. We're expecting some colder weather this next week. Now, it's not going to be a hard freeze or anything like that, but it is cold enough to damage things like my peppers and a bunch of my tropicals. So things like my citrus, my pineapples, my bananas. So I'm going to be getting those ready to go inside. Now, the banana, I don't take that inside. I haven't taken that inside in the past. It will come back year after year, but I learned that if I want it to fruit, it needs to stay alive and actively growing for a minimum of 12 months, which is basically impossible if you live in the ground. So it has a whole bunch of pups or like little sucker plants that are coming off of it. I'm gonna take some of those, pot them up, keep them in the shop over the winter, and see if I can get some bananas if I have potted banana trees. And I also like the idea of being able to roll them around the patio and have mobile shade that's very tropical and oasis feeling. Something you may not know is that peppers are perennials. Now, this is the first year I'm trying this where I'm growing them in a pot so that I don't have to dig them up, because I've realized I never dig them up. Every year I lie to myself and say, oh yeah, I'll have time, I'll have energy, I'll dig them up. No, I will not. So I grew them in pots. It was not successful in the sense of I didn't do it right. I needed to put them in larger pots. I needed to feed them more regularly. So I have a few, I think I have like a handful of small little peppers in here, but nothing like I've had in the past. So I'm still gonna keep these alive, and then in the spring I'm going to get them in a little bit larger of a pot. I think they need a 5-gallon, and then we'll give them a regular feeding. I'll put an alarm on my phone so that I can't forget. I'm growing a lot of gourds, and you wait until they completely die. So see how this is completely died back? That's what you want. These ones, this is much closer to ready. I don't know if you can see, but it's a lot lighter in color. Oh, I got it. Camera's getting stuck. Than this one. So this one is much more green. That is much more yellow, pale, getting ready to dry. This one, you can see the stem is dry on it. So that one's good to go. And all the others, I'm just gonna give them as much time as I can on the vine. The only time I'd pick it before it's fully ripe and cured is if we're expecting a hard freeze. So 32 degrees or lower, that will permanently damage them and probably cause them to rot. In that case, I'm gonna harvest them with a really long stem and give them tons of air circulation, and they can take up to a year to fully cure. So these are gonna be a long project. Flowers that you can start right now are things like larkspur, cornflowers, nigella, Queen Anne's lace, sweet peas, and I'm gonna throw out some poppy seeds as soon as we get a little bit colder and I have some bare ground. Because we're looking at some colder weather where it's gonna be dropping consistently below 45, I'm gonna be bringing all my tropicals inside. So that's all my citrus fruits, my bananas, all that I'm gonna bring inside. I have quite a few cold hardy crops, so things like my brassicas, so that's my cabbage, my kale, my broccoli, all of that's right here. And it's doing okay, but it's gonna need a little bit of protection if we get down to a really hard frost. Now, typically they're just fine, but things like your lettuce and your leafy greens typically need a little protection if it gets cold. So I'm gonna have everything prepped for that. I'm gonna have cardboard boxes work. You can just put a cardboard box over your plant with a brick. You can use sheets, you can use blankets, you can use frost covers or frost cloths. You can use cloches. There's like 1,000 things you can use. I'm gonna link one of my YouTube videos from last year on it. It shows you how to do everything, and it gives you exact numbers of, you know, at least ballpark numbers, so you know about how much different protections add in terms of degrees. Oh, I wanted to show you. Last thing I wanted to show you, can I walk and talk? The last thing I wanted to show you guys was just a quick update on where we're at on some of the little experiments we've done. So we've got some more. I've got some, this is kale acinto. We've got some of the kales coming up. We had some lettuce coming up, but then the cat walked over it. This is not arugula. This is an artichoke that I must have missed. We've got some more broccoli coming up right here. We've got some red, my brain just went blank. Red basil coming up, and you can see a little bit of things coming up in each one. Nothing super amazing. This is kind of interesting. I've got lupins coming up. Remember, these are the ones that were not in the fridge, and they're coming up better than the ones that were in the fridge. I've got bells of Ireland, and the ones that weren't in the fridge are coming up better than the others. And I've got some delphiniums coming up right here that are looking better than the ones that were in the fridge. Now, it's too early to call, but so far it's looking like it's a lot of extra work to cold stratify your seeds in the fridge if we're planting them in the fall anyways. When it's gonna get that cold and wet period naturally, there's no reason for us to add extra work to our list when Mother Nature's gonna handle it for us. I think that's everything, you guys. Let me know if you have any other questions. I'm pretty good at answering comments. If you have any feedback on what I can improve on, I always appreciate it. And let me know if this more direct and much simpler simpler style works for you guys, because it saves me hours of time. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.